What's up, people? How you doing today? My name is Kasanda Bill. Welcome to the Naked Ego podcast. Yes, this is a platform where men and women are willing to strip down their ego and be authentic and vulnerable while they share their story. Wow, today is going to be an interesting one. So I think for the first time since launching the podcast, we have a female guest. Eddie, you can do the thing. So from the far right, my co-host. Introduce yourself.
Edgar Odhiambo.
Edgar Odhiambo. And then the special lady at the middle.
The lady of the day.
The lady of the day. You actually know you're the first lady to rock the podcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
It is my pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey for us. At the beginning, we just thought we could survive putting out content without introducing the feminine side, but looks like whatever we envision does not.
We make plans and God laughs.
Yes. So welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
This is the Naked Ego. Me and Eddie, we just come and share our perspective of different topics, different days about different things. But the bottom line is just being authentic and being raw. You just go deep, and that's powerful or authentic thing inside you. That's what you bring out, that naked ego. That's why there's a nakedness. Yes. So Ninah, introduce yourself and tell our listeners who you are and why you here.
So my name is Ninah. Without going into what I do or whatever, I am just a woman trying to navigate life in this day and age. I'm trying to learn new things. I'm trying to uncondition myself. I'm trying to have conversations with men about things that women generally do not have conversations about. I'm a friend of the podcast, so I've been following behind the scenes.
Thank you so much.
So I hope I'm
You're most welcome.
Worthy to be seated here.
You are.
Yeah.
Definitely worthy.
And it's so timely. One thing that you're so vocal about is what actually prompted this sitting and inviting you here. So you want to tell us the topic of the day?
Topic of the day. Today we talk about...
But before you tell us the topic of the day, how are you, man?
Wow. The last month has been hard. It's been difficult. I think we've had conversations sidebar. We even met last week for lunch. How we talk at least every day, and the anxiety has been the main thing. It's anxiety about things that have still not panned out in my life. I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things, and then things are not moving at the pace I'd like them to move.
They never do.
You make plans, as they say, God loves, or when you're just about to get where you want, a hurdle comes up. So it's been messing with my head quite a bit, amongst many other things. But I'm in a much better space now, which I'm slowly adjusting to again. Had an appointment with my psychiatrist on Monday. That was interesting. So... like the meds I take, the one of the two pills I take, the dose was increased by a bit, and then a third medication was introduced just to sort of calm the physical manifestations of the anxiety. So far so good.
Yeah, man.
Let's see where we go.
I cheer you on, and for other people who are also on the same journey, they may have a good week, a good month. That just tells you are a normal human being trying to maneuver this place called Earth. So there's no one who has a manuscript of actually maneuvering. And for those who look at us and they're like, these guys are well put together. No, you're just looking.
That's how it looks on camera.
Yeah, that's how it looks. We also go through the struggles.
Sidebar,
the fears, the anxieties, the panic attacks and all that. So introduce the topic of the day.
Topic of the day today is gender-based violence. And I mean, it's a topic that is discussed a lot.
Yeah.
I have put myself in spaces where I talk about it off camera with, I think also, I must confess, I've been safe in the people I have these conversations with.
Yeah.
Because I always fear getting into situations where we are in conflict.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't like conflict per se.
Yes.
But it's important to talk about gender-based violence. It's important to know what it's about. It's important to know how it presents itself, in case there are some people who don't know how it has impacted us, and then in what progressive ways men and women can contribute towards, just overturning that situation for the better.
And I think it's also very, very important for men
Yes.
to be part of that conversation.
Men have
Because
to be part
I
of
feel
that
like,
conversation, yes.
especially conversations around gender-based violence is always spearheaded by women
Yes.
with other women. Like
Yes.
men are never invited. And I read somewhere that this is it the solution for gender-based violence. I think I can't remember the context, but I'll remember it's just prompted. It was requesting men to be involved in the discussions around gender-based violence.
Yes.
Yeah, and the solution is actually there in the men's side.
Mm.
You get what I
Oh,
mean?
it exists.
Yeah, I think so.
In some spaces.
Yes.
In some spaces it does.
Yes, yeah.
But I think for the sake of today's conversation, I felt that it's not just a thing, it's not a conversation to just have just as two men.
Yeah.
It would be good to hear a woman's perspective. Yeah. That's why you're here. That's why I set you up. But I set you up with good reason.
Yeah.
Because these are conversations we've had sidebar, and there's a lot I learn from those conversations. But I'm like, you know what? We could have the conversation with you being present, the guys behind the scenes present, and we all just get to learn from each other rather than being at war with one another. It's we having a conversation where we learn. Yeah.
And also, this is opinion from two heterosexual men. So how do you identify yourself?
I think I'm mostly straight.
You're straight.
Mostly.
Mostly.
I think,
Keyword.
it's a spectrum. Sometimes, most of the time, if there's a label that is required, I think I identify as mostly straight.
Yes.
We'll see. Life will take me wherever it wants to take me.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
so
open to it.
so when I say gender-based violence, what plays in your mind?
As a woman, the first thing that I think about is physical violence against women and sexual violations against women. But in the broader aspect of it, it's purely a violation based on your gender. So it could be a man violating a woman, it could be a woman violating a man, it could be a man violating a girl child, it could be women violating other women because of the gender bias.
Yes.
So just trying to look at it like across the board, gender-based violence, violence based of gender within that context. It's just that we more often than not we look at it from a patriarchal model, which is the system that we operate in. And the victims of patriarchy are mostly women. Who are violated in these spaces.
True.
Yeah.
What rings in your mind?
For me, every time I hear GBV, I think of a relationship where there's this woman who the husband comes back late at home, and maybe they don't have a healthy way of maybe communicating. Either the guy is drunk or so there's always the beatings being shared. I think, and also it could be something as simple as in a relationship, a man and a woman, you get to a point where you as a man, you don't know, or probably you don't have a better way to express yourself, and now you're being physical with the woman.
Yes.
So and for me, I think what I think about when I hear gender-based violence, it's always physical. And I think, I don't know why, but I'm inclined towards a man being violent with a woman. Yeah, I don't know if that's what I've been seeing in the past. Yeah, because also for me growing up, gender-based violence was very common. And it was so normalized in our community. Yeah, so it was actually used as a tool to straighten the woman. Yes. So that's what I've seen in the past. So every time I hear the word gender-based violence, that's what plays in my head. What about you?
Gender-based violence. For me, I think it's more or less the same thing with what you guys have described. Physical violence. Most times, like my introduction to what gender-based violence has always been since I was a young guy. It was physical violence, mostly from men to women. Yeah, they were the one-offs of women to men, but those women, the acts of violence from women to men were often situations that were laughed about. These were situations where men were laughed at. Like ni aje umechapwa na dem, kwani nini mbana
Yes.
Kwani we si mwanaume. And it also was a measure of the lack of them not being man enough. You know, they were less than in the circle of men. But for the sake of the conversation, my introduction and my experience with what gender-based violence back then was just the physical violence. But over time, me being in situations where I've talked to people, I've got to learn about the sexual violence. You know, I've got to learn about something as simple as I was on a call today and I was asked, for example, there's these common situations where when women are boarding public service vehicles. So when they're walking towards the public service vehicles and the public service vehicles are waiting at the bus stop. And you have like 3 conductors approaching you to convince you that their public service vehicle is the one that you should board. The way they go about it, the pulling, the shoving, the screaming, and you know, just telling you like, no, enter this one, not this one. No, and they keep pulling and pushing and shoving you and stuff. So I was asked, can that constitute gender-based violence? And I thought about it, and I wasn't so sure at first, but it could be. It probably is. You know, I know we have the Google definition, but I think over time, Google definitions are things you have to tailor to the situation in your space, in your current space. So when I was asked that question, I had to think about it for a bit. But I was like, yeah, it is. Because isn't there a better way to convince a lady that maybe enter this matter, or just let her choose, you know, that kind of thing. So
maybe what I can ask, can we, so because now we've identified gender-based violence as like one of the types is physical violence,
sexual
violence. Can fear be used as a way to violate a gender? Because that is fear, like introducing the element of fear. You make someone so afraid of not complying because you're in their personal space.
I think yes, because there's also emotional. I don't know.
I feel like it's disempowering someone.
Yes.
To make them comply.
Yeah.
Because
use the element of fear. Because you have a power.
Element of choice. They cannot make the decision. You're helping them make the decision.
Yeah.
Because you're playing with the emotion. So yes.
Yeah.
I think that
so manipulation.
There is under not types but forms.
There's
also there's the emotion bit. Yes.
Yeah,
fear is that's a big one actually.
And also just to add on what you're trying to say, we can say that's also a form of gender-based violence because the way a man would be treated will be different compared to the way a woman would be treated.
In the same situation.
Yes, in the same situation.
I was asked the same question. Like if it was a man, would you have conductors, you know, touching and holding and shoving you? Probably not. And also
it there's also certain factors, like for example, if you are a big guy,
they'd probably
they won't. And probably if you are a tiny guy, they will also probably so
it's
so have we defined what gender-based violence is?
We have at least for what we how we understand it. I found out something interesting today when I was researching. It was female infanticide.
What is that?
So female infanticide is the deliberate killing of young, like female infants. And that is a form of gender-based violence. I'd never thought about it. I didn't even know it was a thing. You know, I think I've heard of some situations, but I didn't follow those cases up enough to see, you know, that this was actually a thing in some countries. But it's cited as a form of...
It exists.
It exists. It's a form of gender-based violence. And I didn't know.
Cool. Have you... So I think we can start from Edgar. Have you been a victim of gender-based violence?
No. Not directly.
What do you mean?
Not directly. I have witnessed it in my home. Yeah. Okay. So not directly to me. Like I've not been... it's not been done to me directly, but I've witnessed it at home.
Okay.
Yeah. I've witnessed it at home between my folks, and there was both the verbal and then there was also a bit of physical, which of course definitely created a lot of chaos at home, a lot of destabilization. There was a lot of fear, as you've brought out. Actually, when you said fear, then I was like, this is something that also I've gone through. So a lot of fear at home, because you're anxious, you're not so sure what's going to happen, you know, and it wasn't the normal, not the normal. I want to phrase it differently. The common examples you always hear are dad went to the bar, dad came home drunk, dad beat mom. But my dad doesn't drink. I can't call what he does drinking. I can't. It's a sip or like a glass of wine today, and then he could wait 6 months and have another. You know, but there were certain instances where some things happened, you know, and we saw it and we were like, okay. We had but even when we were growing up, now we had the neighbor. We had a neighbor now who used to come home drunk. His wife also used to come home drunk from a separate bar. And when they met at home, all the issues, the marital issues that they had came out there. And it was so out there because it was not being done in the bedroom. This was being done at the compound of their home. So over the wall, you could just go over the wall and you could see them, you know, in the backyard or the front of the home, and they were fighting there and doing things. And by that time we were kids, we didn't know what to do. There were no avenues of call the security guard, stop this. We didn't have phones to call policemen and say, or policewomen and say, hey, kuna situation hapa nyumbani bana, majirani wetu wanapigana kila wakati, or even after the fact. You're like, hey, yesterday, police officer, as I'm calling you, yesterday something happened in our estate. There's a neighbor of ours, some two neighbors of ours were physically assaulting each other. Because it was a thing of it was just the man to the woman. The woman also was in that fight, and she put up a damn good fight, that lady. There was once by guy, she took a chair, a wooden chair, and she you know the way in like in the movies, in wrestling in the movies, and you hit someone with the chair and the chair breaks and stuff. The chair broke. So this lady she had some fight in her, you know. Yeah, so that's been my experience.
What about you, Ninah?
As a woman, yes, I've experienced GBV. Like I've been violated based off my gender in more ways than one. I think probably happens to it happens to women maybe more often than we're willing to admit, because first of all, like one example that a lot of women experience, and we talk about it in our circles, is unprotected sex. Yeah, where you get coerced more often than not to have unprotected sex by your partner, by someone you're engaging intimately with. And what that does is it takes my right to choose how this experience is going to be, and that is a violation based on my gender. One. So that is one that I have experienced. Other ones is violation of my personal space, right? Where in the bars and the clubs, that happens more often than we can admit. Yeah, literally every time you go out, some shit finna go down. You get. I have been witness to gender-based violence. I think in every family setup, there's cases of people being violated. I have had stories in my family where the women are violating the men. Right? There's one case that exists, which also puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
The majority of cases that exist within the household setup is that the men violate the women, which I've had, I have seen, I have gone to get my friends who've been in such situations.
Yeah.
So I'm very alive to the fact that it is a reality for me, and I go through it every other day. Even in expression,
Yes.
women get violated for expressing themselves.
How?
So now maybe we should talk about the thing we're trying to address earlier, gender norms.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
There are certain gender norms that exist and certain roles that women should play. And when they don't adapt to the norm,
Yeah.
it is very easy for harmful behavior to be introduced to make them again comply. Yeah.
Put them in line. So to
Yeah.
Yes.
So trying to stay away from the traditional things of food should be ready or whatever, the roles that women play. Women get silenced a lot by men. Yeah. Where we are not able to be vocal because women should not express certain things about certain topics. Yeah. We're not supposed to embrace our sexuality. Why not? Yeah. But men embrace their sexuality the moment they open their eyes. Right?
True.
But us, it's supposed to be, what is that saying? You should be something in the streets and a freak in the shits.
Oh, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, that is like one example where that thing,
Yeah.
and in those spaces where you're supposed to be different is where we tend to get violated more often than not. Yeah.
That in the freak in the sheets.
Yeah, where
Yeah,
it doesn't look like how it should look. Then you're like, no, I have to get you back in line.
Yeah,
You cannot say
yeah.
this, you cannot do this, you
Yeah.
cannot think like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is how it's done.
Yeah.
I've lost my train of thought.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel going around your day-to-day activities?
Afraid of men. Afraid of men.
Then I'd hit you with this one. When you hear her say she's afraid of men, what's your first reaction to that?
It catches me by surprise, one. And then I'm like, I think because how I process information, I would always ask myself, like, what can I do to change that? But I don't know if that's the immediate thought that I'll have.
I mean, so fear, like for me now, afraid of men comes from like, even like how us guys of my generation were raised. Yeah, how girls should behave. Sit with your legs together.
Yes.
Like, don't do somersaults, Don't let people see certain parts of your body, things like that, yeah? So things about me being a woman have been sexualized more often than not. And the people who are the villains in the story are men.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I go into spaces where, say, my job puts me into, like, I work in a very patriarchal industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am constantly afraid of saying the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, expressing myself in the wrong way that could cause a man to react in a way that hurts me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting out of my house, literally even receiving a delivery.
Yeah.
I will
Yeah.
close the door immediately, and then I'm like, so how
Yes,
much am
you
I
have-
paying?
you
You
have
know,
to
I'm like,
double
anything
check.
can happen, you know?
Because
Yeah.
the stories are there.
And it's that power imbalance. There's a power imbalance that exists in our society. Yeah. One, there's physical power imbalance where men are stronger than women, which is a fact.
Yeah.
I get there are some women who are stronger than men, but the majority is that men have a stronger physical representation.
yes, that's
yeah.
true. Yeah.
So anytime I interact with a man and I'm a little bit vulnerable, there's the risk of
Yes. Yeah.
them using their
Using
physical
their
strength.
strength against
to harm
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Let me go. For me, it's when I hear a woman saying she's afraid of men,
Yeah.
my naive self. So I have to start from my naive self to where I am now, where I think I'm a bit more informed.
Yeah.
My naive self would be, okay, I'd acknowledge that she's afraid of men, but I will put myself there saying, but it's okay, you're safe with me. Yeah. So I know you're afraid of men in general, but me, where I am, as we are here together, don't worry, we are safe.
That's your naive self.
That's my naive self. Because probably when I'm doing that, I mean, I believe I'm someone who a woman can be safe around. Yeah, that's number one.
Yeah.
But number two, I think the bigger thing is, I think in one way or another, I'm still trying to impress the girl.
True.
Yeah,
True,
let's call a spade a spade.
Yes,
Trying to
true.
impress the girl.
We do that a lot. Yeah.
And it's not impressing to want to smash or anything. It's just to have her have a good impression of me.
To be in the good books.
To be in the good books.
Yeah.
But that's not what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
Now my informed self, I know better to know that that's not what she wants to hear.
Yeah.
She doesn't want to get my impressionable side.
Yeah.
She first wants to be able to express the fact that she is afraid of men.
Yeah.
Number two is me going the step ahead to find out why. What makes her afraid of men?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an Edgar thing anymore.
Yeah.
It is, we're talking about men, because it's fellow.
Yeah.
It's my fellow gender that's doing this. So
Yes.
what makes you afraid of men? And then hear from her and what she has to say, and not be defensive about it.
I love it. I love how you differentiate your naive self and your informed self.
Yes.
I think your naive self is always, when something happens, you always try to exclude yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, like I'm the special one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The special one. That's the one.
Guys are bad, yes. No, me,
But
I'm
me.
cool. Me, I'm Edgar. Me, I'm easy. Yeah, but your informed self, when you hear criticism being thrown against men, you become aware and you accept it, you listen to it, and then you start figuring out, how can I not respond? How can I be of change?
Yes.
Does it make sense?
How can you be of change?
Yes.
How can the people, the men around
you.
also be that change?
Yeah.
You know, because what the lady who is afraid of men wants to see is not just you. It's all of you.
Yeah.
All of you around her. So as she says, she works in a very patriarchal industry.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the thing is, we know how our fellow gender are when it comes to certain things. Something as simple as it's lunchtime.
Yeah.
You know, and it is we mama suendo utupakule chakula, and it's said in such a crass way. In other people, it's like, that's a very normal thing to do. Yeah, see, women are meant to, like, no.
And don't let take
If you
kijiko.
unlete kijiko kwa jikoni huko. But it's like, okay, why does it have to come out like that? You know? And then it is, even if you'd like her to serve you, you know, isn't there
There's a better way to communicate.
There's a better way to communicate
Yeah.
how you'd like to be served.
Yes.
You know, that, you know, should be exercised.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think we've been told to take a break.
We've been told to take a break.
Been told to take a break, bro.
And this is the Naked Ego podcast. We will be right back. Today's episode has been brought to you by our partner here at Istiqbal Home Furniture. Welcome back to the Naked Ego podcast. So I had asked you guys if you guys had been a victim of gender-based violence.
Yeah.
And I did not answer. I
Yeah.
think for me, yes.
Yeah.
I've been a victim in my past relationships. Relationships, that means it's more than one.
Like,
Yeah, I think there are certain points in the relationship where, for me, I don't know if it's something I've just grown up with. I don't know how to. I think at least now, my old self used to fight back and used to love fights, but at least now I don't know how to fight. I don't know how to fight, whether physical or verbally. Once there is a verbal fight, I'll just turn off. Like, I'll just sit silent.
Is
Yes.
that you don't know or you don't like?
I don't like.
Okay.
So I can't entertain it. Like, there is no point you'll see me throwing.
Back and forth.
Yes, back and forth.
Okay.
Even arguments.
Okay.
The moment it gets to a point where it's an argument, an informed argument where we just arguing to win, I'll always turn off. So I think I developed that thing somewhere along the way. So in that relationship, we would argue about something and then I would just go mute. Yeah. So I'll just go mute because why? I feel like the argument is not taking a direction that it's meant to. And then at that time, the lady who I was with would jump at me and then start punching me. And
Provoke
it was,
you.
yes, provoke me. And it was so funny. The lady who used to do that, she grew up in a gender-based violence home. Like the dad used to abuse the mom physically.
All right.
Yes. So it got to a point, it felt like she kind of felt attracted to it. I really don't know. But she kept provoking. Like she would really want it to happen. And she would start punching me or doing something. There are certain times where I would really maybe get agitated and fight back.
Okay.
Or just try to prevent or probably walk away. Yeah, it happened in my 2 relationships.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
In the past. Did I tell anyone about it? No.
No. Until the podcast.
Until the podcast. Thanks to the podcast.
So would you say, for example, like for the lady you've talked about specifically, because of what she went through in her home, that was how she knew to exercise conflict resolution?
Yeah, to some level, yes, because environment plays a huge role.
Yeah.
And if you come from a toxic environment, you have to go through some sort of cleansing and healing from that.
Yeah.
So that you don't get to a point where you subconsciously do the same thing. Like, because it kind of becomes ingrained in your brain.
Yes.
And it becomes a norm.
Yes.
So she did not go. She was not an emotionally intelligent person.
Okay.
And she wasn't a self-aware person. So I wouldn't say she had kind of healed from that.
So she just did what she knew.
Yes.
What she saw.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember the scenario where I was a victim. We were in a club with my sister and some friends. And as we were just, chilling, having a good time, having our drinks, because we were standing right by the bar. And then there's an old childhood friend of mine who came to the club. So I'd not seen him in a while. So he came with a friend of his, and we said hi to each other, and we were hanging out. We talked for a while, and then I think after like about an hour and a half, he was ready to leave and go to another club with his friend. I think there's somewhere else they're going to meet his other friends. So we all say goodbye. He says goodbye to everyone, including me, and then I turn around and I'm facing my friends again. And I think maybe 30 seconds or so later, the guy grabbed my ass. Yeah.
How did that make you feel? I'm curious, yeah, because
I didn't like it. I didn't like what he did. But before I could turn around and react, he ran away. Like I could see him running out of the club. And by the mere fact I felt the way I felt for just those few seconds.
Yeah.
Apart from the people who were around me, it took a while before I even talked about it. It took a really long time before I could tell anyone that it happened. Because there's the element of shame.
Yeah.
Like, and then there's the, I think also another way, I'll boldly say it, I think there's also that discrimination or against like the LGBTQ community. So it's that thing of, kwani weni fago. It's thrown around a lot.
Yes. Are you gay?
Are you gay? How could you allow a man?
It's even used as a joke.
Yeah. Or as a way to attack you. To sort of,
Yeah.
Is emancipation the right word? or sort of
Emasculation.
emasculation.
Emasculation,
Yeah.
yes.
So I didn't talk about it for a really long time, but I didn't like it, you know. But when I talked about it, people laughed. It was a joke. Like, yani uli ay, Buddha. And it was a running joke. But then you think about it, women talk about this all the time. Like, you know, honestly speaking, like you hear about women talking about how they go to the club, how they're walking on the streets, how they're walking on certain streets.
You don't even have to go that far. Even a man hugging you, how
there's,
they linger.
there's a way the hug is done that gets the woman uncomfortable. But now you see, these are stories I used to hear, but I didn't know what to do.
Wait, I'm a hugger.
No,
Let's
but
go back.
there's hugs that are there's hugs
There's some hugs that
are okay.
linger a little bit too long.
Yeah, and then it gets
You
a
know,
bit.
then it slides like a little bit lower.
Yeah.
So you always have to just like make it quick. Don't linger too long. You know,
Yeah.
it could become something.
Yes.
Then also depending on the type of relationship you have with this person, you know,
Yeah.
I
I
hug
mean,
strangers.
that's okay. But there's a way to hug strangers.
Okay.
That is not, you know.
Making them uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, they say like just touch their shoulders. Don't
Yes.
I see.
put some.
I learned in
Put some distance.
2020, 2019.
Yeah.
I learned a lot of women don't like when men have their hands constantly here, like on a lady. This thing of you're talking and you're always holding a lady's just down under the lower back. A lot of women actually get very uncomfortable. I didn't know. But it's a very normal thing men do.
I didn't know that.
I think it's a thing of.
So they have that thing for put your arm around like the shoulder if you must.
Yeah.
But if you don't, like we just don't bother, you know. But I didn't know. I learned something new because it's just, you know, you go online and you watch videos and a lot of women are talking about the same thing. And these are people from different circles.
I think when it
different
comes
races.
to like discomfort that women experience, and like just trying to bring back the conversation back into GBV,
Yeah.
it is a thing of safety.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't feel safe when you do that. Yeah, but when I articulate it, it's like, but it's just a hug. Yeah, but I don't feel safe because the possibility of you like bringing me closer and I'm unable to like get out of it is high.
Is it because why? Is it because we don't empathize or what?
Because one, it happens more often than we like it. Yeah, it happens too many times.
Yes.
Too many men.
Yes.
So now going into the not all men. Too many men do this to
the same
women.
Yes.
Yeah. Too many men linger when they're hugging. Yeah. Too many men will look at you some type of way and make you feel uncomfortable. You know? Like why, you know, just very small things make us feel very unsafe. And it's because it is very easy to be violated as a woman because your vulnerabilities are more exposed.
Yeah.
Your body being one of them.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
That's one.
It's true. Bro, it's and those are the things where now when you hear such things, then it takes you a step back fast.
Yeah.
And then now I'm like, okay, no, Edgar, think about this. Think about it fast. Think about what is actually being said because we are very quick to defend ourselves.
Yeah.
But like no, you've not heard what you've just been told. So that element of safety is more often than not observed. So hence GBV.
Let me ask you something as simple as a guy checking you out and like, unaweza.
There's limitations to like that. Yeah. You can say it and I can acknowledge it. I mean, I feel like I'm fly. I can be like, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Stop there.
I see.
Yeah, don't think I'm
It
encouraging
should-
it
it
because
should
I've
be an
acknowledged
innocent
what
compliment.
you've said. Yeah,
That's
stop
it.
there.
Yeah.
Don't think it means something else. Like now you can come and
Tata auntie.
pour some more into my cup. No, I'm good. Yeah, what you said is sufficient and it's enough. Yeah. So it's just that thing like the producer was trying to bring, like where the lines get crossed very quickly.
Yes.
But for men, it's easy to cross the line and come back. You know, but the moment you've crossed the line and you're on our side, it changes for us. It's not safe. It changes. It changes the how we move, how we operate, how we think. That is our playing field as women.
Yeah.
You cross over and make us feel a little bit uncomfortable. It even changes how we interact with other women. it affects that. Yeah. Small violations of lack of safety where you feel like your friends expose you to men who make you feel unsafe because those men linger. But you see, it's not the women, it's the men have come to play in that playing ground where women should be safe.
Yes.
And there's no responsibility that men carry when they enter our spaces.
Yeah.
They're just like, see, I'm coming, see, I'm not a threat. You're a threat.
You are.
Billy, if it was just me and you here today, I would be scouting, like my mind would be on high alert as to anything that you do after the cameras are off. You know, I'd be like, let me just go home. Bye, Billy. Thanks, we'll talk. You get, there's always that element of anything can happen. Because more often than not, things have happened when you thought nothing could happen.
And when these things are happening, it's not necessarily it's just a stranger. Sometimes it's a friend. Sometimes it's family. It doesn't have to be the person you don't know. No.
I want to touch on like the LGBT community a little bit. Yeah. Where they also tend to get, like, there's a lot of violence towards people who are, how do I put it, gender non-conforming?
Yes.
Is the correct word? Yeah, gender non-conforming.
Yes.
Where gender is your sex and your anatomy and how you should present that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
So as much as we want to talk about like between men and women, there are men violating transgender people, transgender men and women. There are men violating gay people, queer people, people who just don't conform to the linear way of sexuality,
Yes.
you know?
Yes, yes.
And we also introduced that into our circles, like what happened to you, and someone was like, what did they ask you?
Can you fago?
Some shit like that, you know? That expresses what that person thinks about this kind of people. That they should like it when they're touched some type of way. When people address their sexuality, you know, it's comfortable when, but you don't want it to be addressed when it comes to like masculinity. Your masculinity should never be challenged. But you're constantly challenging people's sexualities all the time.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But why do these things happen?
There's a lot of conditioning.
Yeah.
There's a lot of for me at least, what I've seen for myself as Edgar is there's a lot of conditioning. You know, there's that thing for I don't know if it'll be a digression, but let's see. For example, there's this thing in certain subtle ways. Like I come and tell you something like, Bill, man, I've missed you. Then you find a man saying, pause. Because there's that thing of, again, it's like, if I say I miss you, that means I'm now sexually attracted to you and I want to sleep with you and I want to be intimate with you. But that's not it.
Yeah.
I genuinely have just missed you and that's what. I love you and that's it. You know? Recently is when I'm seeing men now trying to say, I love you, I miss you. But even when they're saying it, says, I miss you. I love you.
Yes.
You say it and you look, you know.
Okay, love you, bye.
Yeah, I love you, bye. And then it's like, okay, let's move on to other things. Let's start the podcast, please. You know, a lot of people are doing this. So there's a lot of conditioning. Yeah. There's a lot of conditioning that have now formed norms. You know, and it's now brought about behavior that now brings about unsafety. You know, and more often than not, all this is happening. Most examples are involving women being on the receiving side of the danger. You know, and now a lot of men are not challenged as well. A lot of men are not challenged.
Who should challenge them?
I believe we men first should
challenge
be at the
ourselves.
forefront.
Yeah.
Because why I say this is, with what I know now, from how I was as naive to what I know now, and I'm still learning. So I'm not talking as an expert. I'm talking as someone who has gotten a bit of information, and I'm still putting myself in situations or positions where I can get more and gather more information.
Yeah.
There's a podcast I was listening to, and it also stems from a conversation I had with her sidebar, I think last week. When it comes to making women feel safe in spaces where men are.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's say, like, for example, the situation we're in now. These are, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're 7 men.
Yeah.
1 lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel safe?
I do feel safe.
Okay,
I do feel safe.
continue.
Yeah.
Good.
You're doing a good job.
Doing a good job, guys. So it's, for example, one of the men here present say something that is, it is obviously wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
We shouldn't let it slide.
True.
Especially slide away bana acha hizo vitu bana. It's like, no, excuse me, that thing that you've said is not right.
Yes.
Because more often than not, what then tends to happen is the man will say the thing, and the woman will pick up on it very quickly. And the reason why she'll pick up on it very quickly is because this is a normal occurrence.
Yeah.
So it's not a good occurrence, but it's a thing that happens very often.
There's trauma involved.
So once she's picked up on it, now we've also now realized, if you're also observant, you realize the lady in the room is uncomfortable. Yeah. Then most men, what they tend to do is they just shy away from it. You pick up the phone, now it's the ghost phone. Hey, the WhatsApp you are avoiding, now you have time to reply. You have a drink in front of you, take a sip of it. Oh, I need to go to the bathroom. Waiter, give me another drink. As opposed to turning to your friend and saying, hey, my guy, that thing that you've said is not right. It's wrong. It's made the lady in our company uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And I feel like you should address it accordingly, like apologize to her, take back what you've said, and do the right thing. The other catch.
Remind me the question you asked earlier for him to respond. So I just got lost a little bit.
Why does it happen?
Why does it happen? So the why. Then I was just giving like conditioning.
Okay.
Conditioning, then now all this. So the catch also here is,
for me, before you even go to the catch, I feel like it's very, very important for men, especially even for us who are in here and for those who are listening, to have the courage to always initiate those conversations. Like, for example, if something has been said, it's something you don't agree to, or something that it's not aligned to your values or to your way of doing things, I feel like we men, we need to start challenging those narratives, because I feel there's so many men who come from space of ignorance.
yes,
they don't know. Like, even for me, it happens a lot at the gym. That's one thing I've discovered. Like, you'd hear a conversation in the past. I used to mind my own business, but now I ask questions. And when you ask questions, you just come to discover it's just a bunch of men who are not informed in this subject. Somebody else said something, and then somebody B said something, and then it's two misinformation piled together into something else.
An echo chamber.
Yes, and then it just keeps going. So I feel like we men, we need to challenge ourselves to start questioning those behaviors, those moves, the things that we keep telling ourselves, and we need to stop being silent.
Yeah, we need to stop being silent. My only catch for all this is that I think the catch I was going to bring in this situation is the right thing to do is what you've said.
Yeah.
Let's stop being silent. Let's speak. Let's speak up.
Yeah.
Let's speak boldly.
Yeah.
Let's speak soon after or immediately after
Yeah.
whatever has happened, rather than much later. Because
Timing is key.
timing is very key.
Yeah.
Now, safety is also very key.
Yeah.
I could be a 5'2" guy, and the guy who said this thing is a 6'5" guy who is stout, a buff guy. Even when he enters the room, there's just a way he comes and talks. There's a way his presence is, it's felt. And to me, I'm intimidated. Even before we get to the lady, I personally am intimidated because I'm like, this guy is big.
Yeah.
Then he says the thing that he says.
Yeah.
And it's something I've picked up on, and I'm like, this is wrong. How do I, in that situation, approach that guy and I'll pick this example from a podcast that I'm listening to, called Man Enough, where they talk about these things. And someone brought up that scenario, like, hey, my guy, because he was caught up in it. Someone said something that he, even before the lady could show that she was uncomfortable, he picked up on it and he's like, no, what this guy said is wrong. But he was intimidated because this guy was big, the way he described it. So it was like, okay, what do we do here?
I have something to contribute.
Yeah.
This all comes down to like social responsibility.
Yes.
Around certain like such conversations that are very gender biased.
Yes.
Yeah. It is easy for you. It is easier for a man to check a man than it is for a man to check a woman. One
Fact.
Yeah.
for a woman to check a man.
Yeah.
It's uncharted waters. You really don't know what you're going in
Yeah,
to
you
see
don't know what to
or
expect.
find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fact.
Intimidation will always be a factor. I will be intimidated to express myself, especially around things that concern me. Yeah. But I have a social responsibility when I'm in spaces where men misbehave to challenge them, right? And for you to present social responsibility in that space, I'm not asking you to validate me. Yeah? I don't need validation. I already know what
Yeah.
that thing is.
Yeah.
Yeah? I need you to allow my opinion to hold water in that space. It is valid. It is not, I don't want to use the word valid. It is justified. My experience is justified.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, I get what you're
It
saying.
is justified.
Very. Yeah.
Same with men, right? You're justified to say not all men.
True.
You're justified.
Yeah.
It is the norm
Yes.
that let me give a very good example of like power imbalance. Yeah, power imbalance is one of the reasons why GBV happens. Yeah, gender-based violence happens.
Yes.
Where when you look at it like from the point of physical violence, where someone feels like they have more physical strength and they can do that to subjugate someone and bring them down, which is again disempowering them physically.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
In that same spectra sexually, where you force yourself on someone. There's emotional violence where you disempower someone's capacity to be emotionally available in that space with you.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Verbal violations where I'm not, when I say something, you counter it with something. When I say something, you have to be thinking better than me as a man or as someone in this space or in this whatever.
Yes.
Yeah, so give room. We always talk about this, like for these things to understand the why, you have to go back to 0-0.
Yeah.
Ground zero.
Yes.
Yeah, it is not, I'm not here as yes, I'm here because I'm a woman
Yes.
and I look like a woman, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, I'm a human being first.
True.
So 0-0 is where we all start.
Yes.
That's true.
We're human beings.
Yes.
And then outside of that, there's power play. And power play is sexy sometimes, you know? It's like, okay, I see you. I see how you're moving. I like it. Then me as a babe, I'll be like, okay, I'll match that energy, yeah? But when it is used to encourage like harmful behavior, it creates that element of lack of social responsibility within social species.
Okay.
In bars, for example, yeah?
Yeah.
In group settings,
Yes.
where something else that happens that I felt like I needed to bring up
Yeah.
is in circles where there are more men than women and there's a babe in the group, men generally feel comfortable talking, quote unquote, the shit they talk about in front of that woman. So it
Because
is,
she's one of the boys.
yeah, it is a violation of her as a woman first. Yeah, you're in
Yes.
violation where you want to talk about women as
In the presence
people
of...
who are dispensable and disposable. So are you saying that it is okay if it's done to her because her crew of boys is doing it?
He's doing it.
Yeah. And then we do the same as women, where if we have like a man in our circle, we will continue to niggas ain't shit even when he's there.
When he's there.
You
Even
get,
when he's
yeah.
there.
So there's
It's
zero social
yeah,
responsibility on both sides.
It goes both sides.
To be able to conduct like a progressive conversation when it comes to like why it happens, how it happens, how to solve it, like he asked, like how are we going to solve it? We have to go back to 0-0. Yeah, where there's responsibility, there's progressive responsibility from the different genders. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something else is, can I just check my?
No.
So there's the harmful gender roles and norms that I think we've discussed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then masculinity versus femininity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is a reason why GBV happens. Yeah. And this
Yeah.
this is also from that the norms that have been created around masculinity. Yeah. Masculinity is not limited to your anatomy or your gender or how you express yourself sexually.
No.
Yeah. For you to connect with me as a woman, you have to come to the feminine level.
True.
Right?
Yes.
For me to match your energy as a man, I have to like have a masculine element to my understanding of how men behave and think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's about now shifting the roles that men and women have in these spaces where there's lack of safety. There's the agenda has been denied autonomy. Agenda has been denied the right to make decisions, like even in policy making where men are still making decisions on behalf of women's bodies. That is gender-based violation. You know, opportunities, education. You know, where when a woman breaks the quote-unquote proverbial glass ceiling, it is celebrated.
Yes.
Yeah, why should it be celebrated in 2022? We don't celebrate it for men because men have that thing that they call male privilege, that they can access the ceiling without doing so much work, you know?
Such a norm to us.
Yeah, it's a norm.
But when a woman
Yeah.
does it,
Every
it's a
day.
whole... Yeah, we do this every day. I mean, guys.
We are guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When a woman does it, then it's a whole...
Yes.
So these are some of the reasons why it happens, you know, when there's power play involved, the power imbalance. There's unhealthy, I think for me, which is I think something you're trying to bring out, unhealthy socialization.
That's actually a very
And this
big
comes
thing,
from right from the onset as a child, where first of all, when you think about gender, you think about sex or sexuality or sexualization. It tends to be sexualized more often than not. So we become socialized to, say, for example, when did your parents talk to you about sex?
No, I was given a book.
You learned, like, the world taught you.
The streets taught me. I was given a book. Boys will be boys. I read the book, and then my mom did a bit. She did a bit. You know, she made me aware of my genitals and the fact that for a lady, you have to, for me, she was very, very specific. You have to respect a woman's body. Chest and the vagina area, don't go there. That's a no-go zone. But after that, it ended there. We didn't get into the details of sex. No. We didn't get into the dynamics of all that.
For us, it was, for example, when you would cross the line, when you're being punished, that's when
the education
the
comes.
education comes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you see, the moment you teach someone something from a point of fear, you're not really teaching someone anything because their choices will always reflect their points of fear.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Always
The choices
make
they make
from that
from
point,
the point
of
of
like
that fear.
that initial fear that you were introduced to, like that concept. Yeah.
And then bring in the fact that sometimes we're always told, don't be scared. Don't be scared. So now you start going to make decisions that will break you out from that sector of being scared, you know. But sometimes the choice you're going to make is the wrong one, you know. It's the wrong one. But you always told, you know, there's this so there's the fear-induced way of parenting, for example. Okay.
Yes.
Then life, you start doing life. And people start telling you, but don't be afraid. Why are you afraid? Don't be afraid. Why are you afraid? Stop being afraid. If you want to live life fully,
Yes.
you have to be fearless.
Yeah.
But see, it's difficult because you've been socialized differently. Yeah.
Now what I'm saying is, when you've been now with how I've been socialized to be fearful. Life is not telling me in some instances. I mean, life is generally telling me be fearless, but it's not telling me in what instances. So there's sometimes you're caught up in a scenario, and then it's like, oh, is this the one? Maybe I'm meant to be fearless. Okay, then you go and you do the thing that is, you know, against the fear.
So let me give you an
It ends
example
up becoming the wrong thing to do.
of you hugging me.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
You hugging me.
Yes.
I've told you we've discussed the you hugging me and putting your hand like on
Yes. lower back. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So fear has been introduced there where you're afraid of hugging me because I could misinterpret it. One.
There's also yes.
Yeah, just trying to bring it back.
That is very true.
Yes,
Yeah?
Yes, that's very true.
Yes.
Yes.
Fear has been introduced. You don't. I am alert as to how you're going to hug me.
Yeah.
You're scared of hugging me.
Because let's say we've had that conversation.
Yeah,
like,
so-
hey, that time you hugged me, and no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so now again the socialization,
Yeah.
right? We are always socialized from a point of fear.
Yes.
So
yes,
that
yes,
makes
yes,
our
yes, yes.
socialization unhealthy, right? So first of all, going back to like the
You
gender and
always you're
sex,
tense.
yeah, gender and sex,
Yeah,
where sex is very technical when it's taught, even in like I don't know, I don't want to show my age, but like home science or whatever we learned about like the reproductive before biology, you know, primary school. Yeah, sex was very technical. Sex is for this.
Yes.
Even us as babes, we're told like now that you've gotten your period, once you start having sex, you
Yes.
could have a child.
Yes.
Literally, nobody is taught that sex is for pleasure or can be for pleasure or can be for expression. Like this is how you express yourself. Yeah.
I see.
So now when you
Yeah.
when you meet me as a woman, you impose your unhealthy socialization on
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
In essence, violating me.
You.
Yes. So brings in the unsafety, brings in the danger that you will need.
Yeah. So unhealthy.
Unhealthy
Socialization.
So
Yeah.
again, the grassroots level. Kwa nyumba
Power
yako.
dynamics. Yeah.
Power dynamic kwa nyumba yako.
This is big. I think let's take a short break. We will be right back.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Naked Ego podcast. So I think we'll talk about how to shift harmful behaviors
That are created by power imbalances
and
and
gender
harmful
norms.
gender norms and roles.
yeah.
Harmful gender norms and roles.
You wanna take it away?
For me, my advice is to men because men are the ones who are hurting me.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine. That's
So
fine.
one
That's
of
fine.
them is I feel like there's like positive masculinity has to be nurtured.
Yeah.
The real man narrative is now expired. Like I can't even remember like the one time I've been able to identify a real man as they've told me a real man should be. You know, what is a real man?
What is who's a real man?
Yeah. Mwanaume ni whatever they always say. Mwanaume ni jasho. Kila mtu ana setting ama?
Yes.
Like that narrative is now dated, yeah?
Yes.
It is your responsibility as men to foster that culture within yourselves, yeah? Where, you know, some of the qualities of like toxic masculinity, is controlling behavior,
Physical violence.
emotional disconnection, which
emotional
promotes
yes.
physical violence and sexual
Yes.
violence, even mental and emotional violence.
Yes.
Lack of moral courage.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you do not have the courage to go against the grain when bad behavior is
Yeah.
being entertained.
Yes.
Hey.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You laugh about it. You're not standing your ground and saying,
Yeah.
I am not about this. Like
Yeah.
this is not who I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it requires like even us as women to constantly recreate our ideas and our identities about what for me masculinity is. Yeah. Because currently you guys have a very poor rap out there. Your rap shit is shit because of toxic masculinity Saturdays. Yeah. For example, that is one example that exists. Yeah. Where positive masculinity is not being talked about.
Yes.
You're actually being encouraged to perceive women as things,
Objects.
Yeah. Objects.
not as people first.
Yeah.
And to use women to sort of, I don't want to use this particular term, but like there's something I read from like one of the toxic masculinity posts, which was as a man you should, I might be misquoting it, so KOT don't come for me, was basically like the role of a woman is for you to have sex with them so that you can be able to go out and do other things with mental clarity. Yeah, that post-nut clarity, they call it. You get,
I get what you mean.
So that's my only job here. You get, like, it's not fostering a situation where I am, there's someone who is taking care of me in my interactions with them. Yeah? Me interacting with you, you're just here to do what a man does.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even how you talk to me, even how you relate with me. You go to settings where there are more men than women. It's very easy for women to be dismissed in those settings. Where when an opinion is being asked about a certain topic, for example, politics or tech,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I'm the
Women often
last person
dismissed.
to be asked about what my opinion is. I have an opinion about it.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yes,
Yeah?
yes.
So foster like positive masculinity in how men express themselves. Yeah? Men can have opinions that are softer, that are gentler, that are fluid.
Yes.
Right? It doesn't have to be straight. This is a straight line, and if you deviate from the straight line, you're not man enough.
Yes.
Or you're more of a man, the alpha male. There's nothing like an alpha male, first of all. It does not exist because we've talked about it at length. We're not going to go into that.
We're
Yeah.
not going there.
Something else is stop shaming sexuality. Yeah.
More info?
So what I wrote is allow women to participate in their own sexual expression.
Okay.
I choose how I want to express myself. Yeah, what I'm showing you is what you should interpret. Don't create a narrative about Nina, who has piercings and tattoos, and she's this kind of person. Perception.
Yes, you're just expressing yourself.
I'm probably not someone who even enjoys sex. You get? But like I've already been stigmatized as a baddie in the shit.
This one is hardcore stuff.
I can sit through that pain. You can sit through some shit. You understand? You know?
Yeah.
So give women ownership back
To them.
And to their bodies, because women don't have other bodies, right?
True.
Women are dying trying to fit a narrative of being acceptable and validated by men. We had an example recently where a babe died out of lipo. I don't know the full story.
Oh yes.
But she had lipo and like there were some complications.
Yeah.
Stop defining what the standard of beauty is, because the moment we live in a system where men inform a lot of things, again, where the inequality comes from, like participation and access to things, men inform a lot of the things we do as women.
Who defines where the beauty is, though?
So two ways to look at it. One is pick me culture, where women have been taught that a man should like you first and a man should pick you. And this is what men like to see. So we try to look like how the men like
How
it.
the men like it.
Yeah. Sexual imagery is something like when you watch porn. Porn is outside of like the gay porn.
Yes.
Straight porn is designed for men. For male pleasure. Not for women. It's mostly heterosexual male. Cis men.
it's true.
Sexual imagery
Who is it
for
meant
the
for?
men.
It's true.
Yes.
It's men.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you find like
But which part is meant for you?
I'm yet to find it. I have to like probably just go into the crevices where now it gets into the kink stuff for it to be now specific to women, you know. But like there's also ethical porn, which also like there's also a category porn for women. But not really talking about like porn, but just sexualization of women mostly is for the pleasure of men.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So women are shamed because of their sexuality. And we don't, something that should be celebrated? Healthy consensual relationships.
True.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
That is, in fact, one
that's a
of the
big
ways to end GBV.
Yes.
We don't have like proper or like effective celebrations or like experiences where healthy consensual relationships exist or are talked about. That's why we have things like simping,
Yeah.
simping.
Yeah.
Na mtaachana tu.
As in, ukipenda mtu unapenda mtu na
Yes.
unampenda venye unajua kupenda
Yes,
mtu.
yes.
Lakini
Yeah.
mtaachana tu.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're a bit mushy. Sometimes you're like you're.
Which is okay.
Yeah, which
It's
is okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Like lower your guard kidogo. Just
Yes.
do the thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's a healthy relationship, go for it.
Go for
But then you
it.
see
Yeah.
that lack of, or rather that restraint from simping
Yeah.
comes from how your fellow men will
Will
view
look
you.
at you. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll ridicule you, they'll shame you.
Yeah. Also, stop involving yourself in people's relationships.
True.
Don't give an opinion about anybody's relationship.
True.
Because at the end of the day, if I'm dating you,
Yeah.
I'm going to be allowed. I hope I'm going to be allowed to express myself fully in my interactions with you.
As you
So
should
if
be.
it's verbally, if it's
Yes,
physically, if it's mentally, if it's emotionally,
Sexually.
spiritually, sexually.
Yes.
I could be maybe someone who likes to have sex facing Jesus, the
Yes.
statue of Jesus, and backing
Yes,
at him.
yes.
That is my kink. I
Yes.
should be respected.
Yes. And it,
You should be allowed.
and it's a journey
You know,
that people should be willing
Yeah,
to
so
take.
I should be able to express that to you, that this is something that gets me off.
Yes.
And you should be like, okay, at least I'll try it once and see
Yeah.
what happens. You
Yeah,
get, yeah?
I'll buy frames.
Yeah, don't stop calling
Rather
people
than
hoes.
saying things like at yeah,
You
hoes
know?
or it's
Yeah,
unladylike.
she's a hoe because she's sexually liberated.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll talk about
Why is there a
liberation.
double standard to sexual liberation?
I'll talk about liberation.
Yeah, where body count is a thing. You see, this kind of like behaviors are what create like those harmful spaces where women engage. You know, where you ask questions about your sexuality. It is really nobody's business except the person I am having sex with.
Yeah.
You understand?
True.
Yeah.
True.
Last one. I think we talked about like sexual nonconformity.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
embracing
yes, yes.
sexual nonconformity and
Yes.
not shaming people for not looking how you want them to look in terms of like their sexual expression or their
Yeah.
gender expression.
Gender expression.
Yeah.
Sexual expression.
The they and thems. Yeah.
Yes.
They,
The
them,
non-binary people.
Non-binary
Yeah.
Like
people,
I
they,
don't
them.
have like sometimes I want to literally dress like a man because the things I'm going to do that day require
Yes,
me to dress like
requires,
that.
yeah, I see.
I'm on site. I need to dress in jeans and a t-shirt.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
sometimes I want to wear like very feminine.
True.
Yeah. Something else like now in terms of the imbalance in gender norms. Yeah, it starts from like traditional setups, the household setup,
True.
where you're told who you should be right from the onset,
Earlier on.
and you're not given
Yes.
choice to decide who you're going to
Yes.
be in this world.
True.
Yeah,
True.
You're designed for the world, not to
Yes.
be in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you actually never take time to find out who you are.
who you truly
No,
are.
you don't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's why I was like, I'm maybe mostly straight.
Yeah.
I really don't know, but like I've been told that straight is the correct way to go.
Yeah.
You know,
Actually, yeah, that's the thing. Because growing up,
and
you're
you've
told
stuck with it.
straight, Yeah.
yeah, I've stuck
Yeah,
with it.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, I
Because when you talk
don't
about
know.
sexuality, for
There-
me, that's how it came out. It
I
came
think-
out as the way to be is straight. Straight is right. Anything else is wrong.
There's
You
this thing we were talking about with a friend of mine. I was like, if all guys were allowed to just experience
I see where you're going.
to
Go, land it.
experience
Uh-huh.
sex with another man, chances are there are so many men who will appreciate or might even decide to change. But because we've been conditioned not to, like we just go. I'm not.
No, I get what you're saying.
I'm saying yeah, because there are so many men out there who probably they would prefer it the other way, but they've never, even they themselves, they don't have the opportunity to try.
Because society owns
Society
your
has-
yes,
expression.
exactly.
Yeah.
Society
Yes.
owns the fact
How
that
you
you
express
how you
yourself.
should carry
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
So you know the funny thing with that,
Eddie's
I've heard about that example.
I'm gonna
before.
be judged today.
No. I've heard about that example before. I've heard about that example before a lot of times,
Yeah.
and it's true. If we're to call a spade, if men were allowed to experiment, you know, to try,
Yes.
and even given let's make it a safe space for them to give their findings.
Yeah.
There are quite a number who will say that, you know what,
thing
and like
is-
that was actually really good. That was a really good experience. But they'll not come out in public And I don't mean in public, like in front of a camera. Just even to your friends, even to your family.
Yeah.
That I tried this thing, and bro, like I had a lot of fun. Like it was really good. And you can also understand it from this other side, which is a slight digression. That lack of, that, I guess you already have that judgment inside you that, okay, I'll be looked at differently. That has prevented a lot of men from going to get prostate exams.
Yeah. True.
It has prevented a lot, because there is now the analogy that is, when a prostate exam is being carried out, you will have a hard-on and you will not. And because it's done in the wrong way, the wrong perceived way, that society has disclaimed, it could be termed as, you gay, you're gay. And again, remember, being gay apparently to a lot of people is wrong. Yeah. Anyway, now back to this conversation we're having. That was just a slide. I just wanted to land it that side.
I think for me, it's just education. Educate people about their bodies outside of their sexuality. Let people decide what their sexuality is. One. This will it'll stop a lot of problems, because I will be taught about my body. You will be taught about my body without it being sexualized for you as a man. Yeah.
I'll get to learn.
You will learn about how women socialize, how women engage. We can bring you into our spaces for you to get to know more about us. You can be allowed into a space with children. Because nowadays men are really not allowed to be with baby girls.
It's true.
It's
true.
No, don't be with that uncle. Don't sit on that uncle's lap. Don't do this and this and this and this. But you see, that child now, again, that concept of fear. And something I am learning to really do now is I want my choices to be informed by my hopes or my intentions, not my fears.
I see what you mean.
I can come to this space and there are several men. And I'm
But
I'm
you're
still
good.
going to speak with the authority that I have as Ninah. You understand? But again, fear is everywhere. We need to redefine the fear for women. We need to redefine the fear for vulnerable people, because we are not even talking about gender-based violations towards people with disabilities.
Yes.
Bill.
It's a topic for another day.
Senior people, old people are constantly being violated, by their caregivers.
Their caregivers, yes. It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, so now maybe the question I would like to ask you guys is, knowing all of these things and knowing how GBV is happening and what causes it, can we get to a place where there's equality and all of this harmful behavior is eradicated, say one, where you're going to look at me where no gender is celebrated, nobody is special. Once something becomes special, once masculinity becomes a special thing or feminism becomes a special thing, a concept that stands by itself, it takes away from the other part of it, the yin and the yang. There has to be balance at all points. If you decide to discuss the positives of it, you negate the negatives. If you decide to talk about the negatives, you negate the positive. You get so how do we bring back the balance? I'm asking as a woman and I'm asking men. How do you feel like you guys can introduce balance into gender-based violence?
Top of my head, let me just see if I've understood what you've said, what you've asked, and then let me see if I can land that point. Or land my points rather. First and foremost, I think I agree with the fact that it has to start with how women relate with each other.
Women?
No.
We men.
We men. So I as a man and my fellow men, how I relate with my fellow men, how my fellow men relate with me. I think we need to start there, because there's a lot that is happening there that is very toxic. And through that, it gives birth to how then we go and interact with women. Because it's fellow men who are teaching us how to view women, how to sexualize women, how to, it's that thing for, you meet a babe, the first thing you're thinking about, will I smash or won't smash? I mean,
It's a smash and pass.
it's a smash. Yeah, like
Yes.
is she a smash or she's not? You know,
It's
it should be like I see her like okay.
yes.
She has. I mean, she has a good head on her shoulders.
Yeah.
Like we had a good conversation.
Yes.
We played table tennis and we went home. Like it should be as
She can
as
excel here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like we sat and we talked about something in that's trending right now, and it didn't have to be sexualized in any way.
Oi.
But so again, back to us as men, how we relate to that. This learned behavior that we've been conditioned, to see, believe, and see, and believe as the only truth that exists out there. There's different,
Yeah.
And for us to achieve gender equality, man, there's a lot of work that has to be put in. There's a lot of work from us as guys, in how we, again, just how we view women, how we talk to women, how we exist in the spaces around women.
Yeah.
There are a lot of beliefs that we have. For example, like I can't just go to the club, dance with the baby, and go home. It's done to the baby, and then I'm already planning about. Okay,
Yeah.
so now I need to
You're gonna
strategize.
try. Let's see.
I have to try and see if I can flirt with her and see if I can convince her for us to
Or
go
you
home.
can just go to a bar and buy a babe beer without expecting more.
Exactly. Like I saw you and I'm like, you know what? I want to buy you a drink. So I
Yes.
bought you a
Just
drink
enjoy
and
yourself.
buy, and I've gone. But for a lot of men, that's a very, very foreign concept, and that is sad. That's a sad reality, that needs to be changed.
Yes.
There's also the fact that I'm trying to see. Let's see. We have to have a lot of conversations. We have to have conversations without being aggressive or defensive.
Yeah.
We have to be very open-minded.
Yeah.
Even if this one custom or tradition has been in your family for the last 300 years, imagine the 301 year is maybe the year you'll find out that this thing for 300 years
Hasn't worked for
was
us.
no good. It was wrong then. Maybe those guys, for whatever reasons, they didn't know. I don't know. It was not addressed for. But now that we're here and we're addressing it, 301 year, we're trying to tell you it's wrong, and we have to do it different. So there has to be a lot of open-mindedness from us guys.
Yeah.
There has to be a lot of education, and this is education that we have to teach our young men and women from when we are our formative years.
Yeah.
A lot of the lessons that I'm learning about, like GBV, social injustices, and other just interactions between men and women, I am learning I've been learning from, let's say, like my late 20s. I'm turning 34.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm learning,
Yes.
but I wish I could have learned way back
Earlier.
when.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it's not that, and a lot would have changed. And there's nothing now to do, let's say, like me, for example. But the people have been around. The conversations I've had, some guys I know or some guys I met for the first time having, and, I'd have that, but I'm not so sure. I see, because I didn't know. But now I'm being informed. I'm being told, okay, social responsibility is a thing. When Bill says something that's a bit uncomfortable, rather than now picking up ghost phone calls and replying messages or going to tell the waiter to give me a drink, it's I have to figure out how to have the conversation, regardless of how stout he may be. Like, that should not be my limiting factor. It should be, I'll figure it out. Like, David beat Goliath. Fam, I think we can figure something out. We can figure something out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just, how do we have it? It's okay. Maybe I don't know how to have this conversation right now, but I'm going to look. I'm going to
Gotta
look for
figure it out.
someone who's going to make me figure it out, and then I'm going to have that conversation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that we think are wrong, but aren't. It's just people who put those things into our minds.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of. Then we have a lot of conversations to have. We have a lot of hard work to put in. We have a lot of open-mindedness to observe. We have a lot of grace and kindness and love and care and responsibility that we have to inject, and not inject when we feel like, man, it's a consistent thing. You know, because the good thing is that if today I don't do it, I know the man right next to me is going to do it. You know, he's going to do it. He's going to help me see it, and then we keep educating one another. You know, as we go on. So it may take some time, but I think for me, even with what I see online, always fighting. Always fighting.
Oh, I have something to add to that.
No worries. We're always fighting. You know, it's always a war. So something has happened, and then it is you men, you women, you men, you women, you men, you women, you men, you women. So again, if we're to start 0-0, man, I know situations invoke emotions. They invoke feelings. They invoke certain thoughts. And those things are informed by, you know, how we were grown up, the environments we're in, and we understand all that. But I think we have to get to the point where we have to step it down a notch. We have to dial it down a notch, you know, quite a bit, and then now start nurturing that slowly. Because I fear for my nephews and nieces. I fear for, if this is what I'm going through right now at 34. You know, I fear for my nephews and nieces who are 4-5 years old, who are growing up so fast. The amount of the stuff that they're being exposed to, it's just because it's the order of the world right now. You know, in the digital age that we're in, information is getting to these people like this. Literally, man, it's just me picking up a phone and locking the phone and going to Google, and within 0-point-something seconds of searching something, there's information, right or wrong, but it's there. You know, so top of my head, that's what I have. As I remember, I'll chip in. What about you, Bill?
I think for me, you've broken it down and you've mentioned most of it. I think we need to be willing to be be involved in such conversations and to be involved in such spaces. We need to be there, and once we are there, we need to be willing to learn and unlearn. And we need to be willing to also challenge ourselves, challenge how we used to think, how we understood it in the past, how we've been doing things in the past. And we also, I think the last one for me, we need to be willing to treat every other person as a human being first. Yes. And then from there, the gender and whatever comes later. But this is a human being. Ninah, you're a human being first, regardless of whether you have a tattoo, regardless. Like, I need to be able to treat you as a human being first. I think that's what I can add on top of what he said.
You said you had a comment about.
Because now, you know, we're doing things in reverse. Where the problem exists, so we're backtracking to where we went wrong and where the solution can be implemented. I think something that is critical to talk about is gender politicking. Gender politics, which is what happens a lot of the times on Twitter, you know, where for there to be gender equality, right? You need to understand that, first of all, there are people whose identity is deeply rooted in their gender. And they will always deploy politics to defend their identity within that space. You should also understand that there's always a victim in gender inequality.
It's true.
Right?
Fact,
and the victim's voice has to be recognized and heard at the same time. Right? So for equality to operate, which is what I think I was trying to bring out earlier, is it looks like nobody cares about the other. But the truth is, I really don't need to care whether you're a man or a woman. I need to know your character, your personality, what your value system is. First, before then I say, okay, that is Bill who does this and this and this. And Bill is a man.
Like the man thing
without introducing the politics of your gender and what role you should play. So we need to stop gender politicking, both men and women. You know? The women are the victims, the majority are the victims. They can be villains sometimes. The men are the villains. Men feel like they need to defend. It becomes a campaign for men to prove that not all men. We know it's not all men. You know,
Yeah.
we also know that
Defending
some
the
women
honor.
do this. Yeah, let's stop the politics. The politics is there. The politics does not bear fruit. It just creates more of the disconnect that exists.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then the discourse cannot happen. The discourse cannot be open.
Yeah.
There's no equal participation because we are just here to defend who we are
Yes.
and our identity within this particular problem.
Yeah.
When I was doing my own research, there are a few things that I also had seen. So things like listening to victims, believing victims. Something very key was learning the signs of abuse and then learning how you can help stop that abuse. Because there are signs of abuse,
Yeah. Huh?
you know. So we're coming from a place where there's some people who maybe don't know, you know. But if for you who is informed and can see, like, these are the signs, they're right there. You know, there's those red flags we keep being told to look out for in friendships and relationships.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this case, you know. So we also need to get to a point where we learn these signs,
Yeah.
and then learn how to stop, so that we're not coming from we get to a point where we'll not be working from the back. We're working from a very preventative sort of from a very preventative stance, rather than it's happened, now let's prevent. You know, it's happened, now let's try and stop. You know, it's already happening, as she said. We know it's happening, it's there. Now it is, we need to tone this shit down to you know, the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then also a big thing is understanding consent.
I think consent requires a podcast, an episode of its own.
for sure.
Yeah.
And we will do it.
Yeah.
But with the GBV conversation, like understanding consent, you find that, as you're saying, you need a whole podcast episode to address consent, because consent is big. But it's important, you know, because it's also informing a lot of behavior that is happening out there, you know. So, like, for example, that thing of the guy who grabbed my ass. If let's say he asked and I told him, okay, sawa, grab, sawa. You know, easy, you do your thing, you know.
Grab.
But now, for even me saying that, you'll find guys are like, hey, bro, and you said that on
Let
a
me make
podcast.
consent as simple as when you see me, ask me whether it's okay to hug me.
Yeah. Boom.
Want a hug?
Can I hug you?
Yeah.
Am I allowed to be in your personal space? Because
Personal
this is my space. My
personal
body is my
space.
space.
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah.
Don't assume that I want a hug. Don't assume that I want to be guided by you holding me and guiding me into the
Yeah,
room.
just because I was
Just tell
told
me
you have
there
red
it is.
flags.
Yeah.
Just tell me
You
there
just
it
don't
is.
go
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
Can you walk in front of me
Yeah.
without me feeling like I am vulnerable in that space?
You know, I learned something about that. I saw, I mean, in your TikTok, you see very interesting things. There's that thing to me as a man, I think I come from the perspective of it is me being a gentleman when I let a lady walk in front of me. But you realize sometimes for a woman, it's not always the case. Sometimes she's like, him walking behind me, especially with someone you don't know, or you're still yet to be very familiar with.
Yeah.
It is, you're not so sure if how they're looking at you from behind, because you can't usually, you can't see them see you.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of thoughts going through your mind, because these are things that have happened. So it's like, no, you walk in front of me, confirm that it's safe for me to go into that space, then tell me, okay, I think it's safe, walk in. That thing for walking in front of I didn't know. I just saw a video and there's a lady who was talking about it, and I was like, oh, okay. They were always so quick, after you, but we're also not.
So,
That's in an ideal world where everything is, working well. But
some of these things that have been defined, I think they also need to be challenged.
They need to be challenged. They need to be challenged. So yeah, we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of learning to do.
Yeah.
And this has to just be done with so much open-mindedness.
And
man.
I also think the females should also
The women.
the women sorry
Females, yeah. Females.
the women should also help the men with the education bit, because we can't educate ourselves about some things that we don't understand, things that are gray areas in our world. So
the key thing is then
the patience.
Invite
create a space where we
create a
can
space where
trust
the women
you.
can come.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
I don't think
True,
women
yes.
have a problem educating men.
That's
They
true.
just create the space where when they come in, they're good. Like they can sit and like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So we're having this and they're relaxed. Not the demeanor is not where's the exit, who's there, how many people in the room. It won't do anything.
Any time you ever feel like you need to treat a woman differently because she's a woman, ask yourself why. Where that stems from. Yeah? That's one of like the very easy guidelines, yeah? If you ever feel like you need to move in a certain way around women, ask yourself why. If you don't have an answer, ask the women how they would feel if that was a way you would behave. Like, us guys are very open about like how we want to be treated, how we want the situations, the places and the spaces we're in to look and operate. Yeah, we really don't want to fight, but we're constantly put in places where we have to justify our places, justify our positions, justify our presence in certain spaces, because we don't have access to a lot of things when it comes to ourselves, to women, right? Opportunity in the workplace, it's much more difficult for a woman, purely because maybe at some point I'd like to have children, so I need to disclose when I'm going to have children when I'm applying for a job.
That's messed up, bro.
And then it'll be like, no, we'll take the man because the man will be more available.
Yeah.
That is not a safe space for women to
Yeah.
work in.
Yeah.
It should never come up. It is nobody's business.
Yeah.
Something else, just always ask. It's going to save you so much trouble.
Yeah.
It's going to save me so much time defending myself.
Yeah.
Always, if you're not sure, ask. Ask.
And as soon as you ask, and you ask it in a very nice, respectful way, you
And the answer that is given
already notice
is the answer. Don't try and change
if she has
the
any
answer.
tension, she'll relax.
I don't know if
I'm
have
good,
something to add.
I'm good.
The last thing maybe I can add is that we all need to know that when GBV leads to the death of someone, right, we have allowed that to happen because we have not encouraged safety where these people are. Even one-on-one safety, where someone's life can be taken, where femicide exists. Yeah, just anywhere where someone's life can be taken based off their gender, right?
Yeah.
It is a failure. It is indicative of a failure of a society.
Yeah.
And that needs to change.
Needs to change from today.
Needs to be improved.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think this has been a very interesting topic. So I think we can wrap it up there.
That's fine.
Do you have any church announcements to like anything coming up, or you have socials or anything where people can reach out if they want to reach out?
Edgar? I don't sometimes. When I was coming here, I really wanted like a low profile.
It's okay. We can still maintain that.
Yeah.
We can provide that.
Yes,
Don't
yes,
worry.
yes.
Can maintain that.
But again, it's counterproductive to what I'm here to do. Because I was telling Edgar, please tell Billy not to tag me on anything.
Then the podcast has done what
So
it needed to
do you feel comfortable enough to be tagged
I
now?
think my voice has been clear, and my intentions have been pure.
Yeah, your intentions are pure.
Yeah,
and you
so I for me, I just hope I'm a good representative. Like, babes, if you see me out there, like, I hope I did
You
you guys
are.
a good job.
You
Feel
are.
free to
You
tell me
are.
where I forgot some shit.
Yeah,
know?
obviously we can't. It's impossible to capture everything.
Yeah,
and
it
also
is.
to accommodate everyone
Yeah.
equally.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do that. But you've spoken so well. You've captured enough. Like, for me, it's been very informative.
Yeah, same here.
Been listening. I'm like, some of these things that have been, even something as simple. I'm a hugger. Something as simple as just hugging people. Why don't now from today I need to ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I hug
Can
you?
I
Yeah.
hug you? Yes. Because sometimes there are people who I would want to hug, they would act shy, and then for me, I would just
Yeah, they're
Yes.
victims of a hug going too far.
yes,
And you don't know
and,
who
and,
it
and I
is.
really
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So
yes,
yeah, the podcast has been very informative, and I know
Same here.
even the guys here have learnt a lot. So the intentions are pure, I would say. So you
Thank you for having me.
anytime. I wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Cool. This has been the Naked Ego podcast. And cheers.